this story is a mirror image of another fishing story, another night of fishing, when Peter first met and decided to follow Jesus. And I think Peter's having a flashback in this moment. I think that's why he's so impulsive. I think that's why he's not willing to stay in the boat. And he jumps in the water, and he is rushing. He's in a mad rush to get to Jesus. Because I think he thinks, maybe this is my opportunity to make this right and to take this hurt and pain and guilt and shame. Maybe it's my opportunity just to get right with Jesus again. And so there he is, and he hits the shore, and it's like, Jesus. And there is no record that Jesus says a single word. That's hard. So they wait for the boat. And the boat comes. Peter goes out and drags the net ashore. Let's cook some of your fish too. They cook more fish. They sit down around this fire and they have breakfast together. Another flashback moment for Peter. The last time I sat around a fire with some other folks, I was denying Jesus 3 times. That's hard too. And I think as Peter's sitting there and he's looking at his friends around this circle, and he's going, I'm different. Everything has changed now. Yeah, all these guys around the fire with me, they ran away just like I ran away. But it's different. They didn't stoop to the level that Judas did or that I did. Judas betrayed him, and I denied him. And I think as it continues to go on in their silence, and this is not addressed, it gets harder and harder. It gets harder and harder for Peter as he's sitting there. And he's starting to think, you know what? Maybe Jesus has changed his mind about me. I know I would if I were him. Maybe Jesus has changed his mind about me. See, I think for us, in moments like this, like Peter's going through here, you ever had one of those kind of moments? Me too. That we need to recognize something here. And it's pretty important we get this. God has not changed his mind about me. You know, that's why you're here today. I'm convinced that's why you're here, to hear that. There's some of you thought this was Rocky Mountain Calvary. It's not. They're back there. But I think that's why you landed here. You made a mistake. I'm glad you're here. You need to hear this. God has not changed his mind about me. He hasn't. I want you to say it. God has not. That's really all you got. I know you want to eat ham. Let's try it again. God has not changed his mind about me. You believe that? No matter what I've done, no matter how many times I've done it, no matter who I've done it with, no matter when I last did it, I did it before I walked into this thing called church today. It doesn't matter. God has not stopped loving me. He's not given up on me. God has not changed his mind about me. Now, here's the question. So why do we struggle so much to believe that's true? If that's true, and it is, why do we struggle so much to believe that's true? Can I tell you why? God has not changed his mind about me, but people, churches, and church people often do. People change their mind about you. And they change their mind about me too. Does anybody else in here ever struggle about what other people think of you? Yeah, the rest of you just struggle with lying. Me too, by the way. Both. I've struggled with that my whole life. I'm so much stronger and better with that today than I've ever been, but it's still hard. You know, so you can imagine how I felt when the worst of me was on display for the world to see. Public, on display for the world to see. There were a lot of people that no longer believed in me. I mean, the stuff hit the fan, and there were a lot of people that had totally and completely different opinions than me. When I spent that first 2 or 3 years out of ministry in the desert, it was some of the hardest, most painful times of my life. When Stacy, my wife, decided that because I was working hard in counseling and all that, she was going to give me a shot and stay with me, guess what? She and my kids got pushed aside, and they got hurt too. Now, I'm not judging here. Hear me here. I'm not judging. Some of that needed to happen to me, not to them. They're innocent. Leaders are held to a higher standard. I should have had to be away from that church. I should have been out of ministry for a while, not just a while, a long while. That was right. And these people that I'm talking about, they weren't bad people. They were good people. They were Jesus-following people. They loved Jesus. They want to have the heart of Jesus. They want to have compassion. They just didn't know how to deal with the bomb that I'd set off, the mess that I'd created. See, here's the deal. You got to understand this. When other people do things that we've never done ourselves, make mistakes, sin, whatever you want to call it, like I've done, adultery, right? When other people do sins, commit sins that we haven't committed ourselves, adultery, or when other people struggle with things that we just can't get our minds around, we don't even understand. I mean, we're not tempted to do that at all. Things like what? Same-sex attraction, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. We want to have compassion. I'm convinced we want to have the heart of Jesus and we want to have compassion, but we struggle not to see those people differently. I'm not saying it's right. It's wrong. It's not the heart of Jesus, but it's real, isn't it? I mean, it's the reality of the world that we live in. And I want you to know, I'm sorry if you've ever been the victim to that or been hurt by that. This hurt is deep and it's real. Me too. The bad news for every single one of us sitting here today is this: people will change their mind about you. The good news is this: God never does. God never, ever does. I think when Peter's sitting around this fire, staring in the eyes of 6 or 7 of his friends, he's making a mistake of thinking that he has to do something to earn the love, acceptance, and approval of Jesus all over again. You know what he needs to hear? Peter, dude, you never ever lost it. You never ever lost it.